Saturday, guys. So you might have been confused by the title, Adopt a Grandparent? What? What is that? It is not a service that I know of, and I don't want you to be weird about it, but it's something I've been thinking on. I am very, 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 very blessed to have my mother's parents still living and here where I live and where I'm raising my child. So my son has great grandparents that are here, and my husband is very, very blessed that he still has one remaining grandparent, and it's his grandma, and she now lives here as well. So my son gets to see his great grandma and great grandpa and great grandma pretty often. And when I was growing up, I had a great grandmother that was living. She lived to be 105. She was wild. She was wild. She was really neat. And I love hearing stories about her. But and she lived here, and I grew up with her around. So I've been thinking about that because I know people who do not have great grandparents and do not have grandparents around, or don't really know their grandparents, or never got to meet them. I never got to meet my dad's mother. She passed away when my dad was in his 20s, rather suddenly. So I did not get to know her. I can only know her through stories, through photographs. I never got to be with her, which makes me very, very sad. She was a very, very tough woman, and I would have really liked to have known her. And my dad has always said that I would have been her only granddaughter, so I would have been super spoiled. So sometimes I'm like, but I've been thinking about this because some people are not as blessed. So what is the idea of adopt a grandparent? Adopt a grandparent is basically not an actual service where you actually get any certificates or anything, and you're not like necessarily responsible for a grandparent, but you get to go be a grandchild to somebody. Go find somebody, because I go to church with people who are grandparents, and I love it when they love on my child, when they're sweet to him. They're grandma and grandpa sweet. They're not like an aunt and uncle sweet. They're grandma and grandpa sweet. You know what I mean? Like oh, can he have a cookie? Or they just give him a cookie, and I'm like, he didn't need that cookie, but you were so sweet to him. Or they'll pick him up and like want to set him on their lap, and like they're fun with him. They want to tell him stories, and they tell me stories. They give me stories about when they were growing up, and it's totally different than when I've been growing up, and they just bring that grandparent flavor to life. So let's say you don't have one. Let's say you're not around. Maybe your grandparents live far away. All right, if you go to church, you gonna find you some grandparents. You gonna find some cute old people. No, please don't be offended. But you gonna find them. And you can go up and you can be like, hey, invite them to lunch. Like, tell them you're gonna buy them lunch and actually buy them lunch. Listen, they bought a lot of lunches. They made a lot of lunches in life. They raised babies. They raised kids. They got grandkids. You buy them lunch. You treat them right, okay? I'm gonna give you all some tips about how to treat your grandparent right in just a minute. But let me get to it. Go buy them lunch and listen to them tell stories. Maybe you don't want to go buy them lunch. Maybe you're a good cook. Cook them up something. Cook them some food. Bring it. Say, I'm going to come over and see you this week. What day works for you? And go listen to them. Maybe you don't have time for lunch or dinner or breakfast. Maybe you got time for some coffee. Maybe you got time for cake, dessert, ice cream, whatever. Bring it. Go see them. Hang out. Listen, watch, I don't know, whatever they're watching on TV. Chat with them. Talk to them about crosswords, puzzles. Show them how to use Facebook. Show them how to use the internet. Hook up their printer. I don't know. Go find a grandparent and adopt them. Maybe that person, maybe you don't go to church. Maybe you are part of another community program. Maybe you can go volunteer at a assisted living facility or a nursing home or a senior center in your area. Maybe you can teach a class there or something. Go find a grandparent and like adopt them in your life. They bring so much good stuff. I do not mean stuff. I mean, they bring a flavor. They bring a special part of your life that if you do not have it, you're missing it. You don't necessarily know you're missing it. If you've never had it, you don't know. But if you've had it and it's not there anymore, you miss it. And guess what? I bet they'd like it too. I'd like you guys to take some time, maybe today, and think about what it might be like for someone who's much older than you. Maybe you have grandparents who are young. I have got a lot of friends actually with pretty young grandparents, like people who are like late 60s, early 70s. I have grandparents who are 90. I have some older grandparents, and thinking about what their day-to-day life is makes me want to see them every day. I love seeing them all the time because I love to tell them stories and talk to them about my life and hear how they're doing and just get to soak up time with them, that peaceful. Sometimes older people just have a peaceful, quiet, calm energy about them because they're settled. They're not in the rat race of life. But think about it. I want you to really think about it. Like, sit down, close your eyes, think about what a day might be like. So maybe it might be that you are not able to get around as easily. Some older people cannot get around as easily. So then you need help to do everything that you'd like to do. So imagine you can't get out of bed without help. Or imagine you can't get up and go to the restroom in the middle of the night without help. Imagine you can't wash yourself without help, or you can't see very well, so you can't read or use your computer. Imagine you don't really understand how to use the technology to use your computer or to use your phone or whatever. Imagine for a moment that many of your peers, your friends, are gone. So people that are your age that experience the same things you experience, the people you graduated with and the people you did life with and the people you raised kids with, maybe they don't exist anymore because they all passed on. So you can't just call them up. Maybe you can't drive anymore because you can't see as well, and maybe you can't. Some older people, this is the reality of their life. Imagine your children. Imagine your children live super far away from you and don't have time, or they don't make time. Imagine you don't have your job. You can't do some of the hobbies you used to be able to do. Start imagining what that would be like. And imagine if you didn't have any grandchildren or children or siblings left. There are older people in this world who pass away and no one knows. For days, weeks, no one knows. They were lonely and no one noticed. And that breaks my heart because I know how much I love spending time with my grandparents. I love to hear their stories. I love to share my life with them. I love to come in and surprise them with flowers or zucchini bread or just, look, I brought my baby. To bring life into their life. It's not just I'm doing a great service for them. They're doing so much for me and for my child. And I don't want them to feel alone. I don't want them to feel like life is passing them by and no one cares about what happens to them, because I do care. So maybe you can't be with your grandparents. Or maybe you know somebody who can't be with their grandparents. Maybe you can go stop in and visit their grandparents. Take them something great to eat, something fun, something different. You know, my grandma just told me recently she hadn't been shopping in a long time. She's like, I don't ever get out to the shops. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't think I would recognize most of the town anymore. How can we, as, you know, maybe as stay-at-home moms, or how can we do something to bring that life. Kids bring life. They bring vibrant energy and fun and excitement and growth. Every time my grandparents see my son, they're so excited because he looks different like every time they see him. It might be from a few days to a few days. He looks bigger every day. And it's great. He's doing new things. He's saying new things. They get to show him things. I remember my grandfather was working on fixing his walker one time, and he had a screwdriver and all pliers and all these different things out, and he's picking them up and showing them to my son and telling him what they are. And he let him play with them, and he had grace for Victor, being a year and change and, not really paying any attention. And he was understanding, and he was loving, and he's so proud, and he just loves my son. And I could go on. I could go on about this for a long time. But I just kind of want to encourage everyone to bring life to someone who maybe doesn't have it. Maybe someone who doesn't have that vibrant energy. Bring some. Bring some of it. Bring your light to their life. Share what you have. And you will learn so much. Don't look at older people and be angry and be irritated. I know some people don't have patience. I don't understand why they don't do it this way. You don't understand what you're missing out with that attitude. You have no idea. So I'm really grateful that my son has the great-grandparents and the grandparents that he has. But I'm also grateful for the other kind of adoptee grandparents he has. I have an aunt who lives here. She is a grandparent, but her grandchildren live in a different state. And they call her Mimi. Well, my son is here, and he calls her Mimi. That is not his grandma. That's my mom's sister. That's his great aunt. But that's Mimi, and she brings so much to his life. She took him out to catch fireflies one night, and it made me so happy that he gets to have that. That he has another wonderful grandparent type figure in his life who can take him out and have experiences with him and do something special and make memories. So, if you are a grandparent whose grandchildren live far away, find yourself somebody you can go and kind of adopt a grandkid. Go find a mom that's staying home and working hard and say, hey, can I watch the kids? Would you like me to come over and help? Bring food and tell her you'll help. Build a relationship with that mama and kind of adopt her kids as your other grandkids, your auxiliary grandkids. You bring that peaceful spirit and that security of yourself. A lot of times older people have just like a great security about who they are and what they're about. They own themselves at this point in life, and they get to bring that to your life. So you start owning yourself and knowing who you are and being comfortable in that. And I'm just so grateful for the older people I've had in my life who have gotten to help me be a better woman, be a better friend, be a better Christian, be a better mom, and help my son to be all that he can be and be a great little boy and a great man someday. And it's just my thoughts on grandparents, and I hope it got you guys to think about who you can bless, and whether you're at one end of the spectrum like me or you're at the other end of the spectrum and you're a grandparent, go find some great young people that you can kind of adopt as your grandkids and go bake them cookies and hug them and tell them crazy stories about nutball things you did or the great things that God did for you, and shepherd them and lead them in some great things. Take them fishing if they've never been fishing. Do something great with them. Share what you have. Build relationships to share what you have. So I'm talking to people on both ends of that spectrum, guys. I hope you have a wonderful Saturday. I hope you guys, this gave you some food for thought. And, I hope you go call your grandparents or go visit them. And have a wonderful weekend, guys. And I'll see you next time. Bye.